Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. Last Sunday you met Loretta Fulton, who is a journalist and an author and has a long and very successful and satisfying career. And she certainly does recommend anyone who's interested in journalism to seek out a good school and get a degree and then get busy writing. And so she has taken early retirement and in 2007 became a freelance writer, continues to work for newspapers and magazines and other writing assignments. But in the meantime, she has written 2 books. The first one was a book about the first female doctor of West Texas, and the second one is the daring young women who became pilots from the West Texas area. And she spotlights 9 of those women and how much of an oddity they were, not only in the fact that they were women pilots in a time when you didn't expect women to be pilots, but also at a time when the way of life was a lot different. And so they dressed like ladies instead of like pilots when they were flying those planes. But I wanted her to come back today and talk about the process of writing a book, getting it published, deciding the topic, and all of the little things. Because one of the things that Loretta preaches is that everybody has a story to tell. And she also says that every person you meet is a story within themselves. And so there's just all kinds of stories around us, and particularly our own family heritage. We need to write that down and the interesting characters in our family. So Loretta, talk about the process of writing a book, whether you're writing one just for your family or whether you're writing one to sell to the public.
For me, my career is in journalism. I spent most of that was at the Abilene Reporter-News. I've done all kinds of reporting and writing. So the books that I've done, the biography of Dr. Virginia Conley, Abilene's first female physician, and now this one, which is shorter biographies of these various women. For me, that was a natural extension of what I'd write for the newspaper. It's just a little bit longer, but it's all the same process. It's all it's reporting based, research based, and that's the key to writing an article or a book that people want to read. The research has to be there. That's just the foundation for a good
even if book. It's fiction, you've got to have the research of the setting. And
that's right. You have to have details, the background. It doesn't matter how good a writer you are if you don't have the information that people want to read about. You're just wasting your time. So for me, and fortunately, I love that part of reporting, journalism, and also of doing these type of books. I love doing research. I find it fascinating and fun. I started my research like I almost always do, finding your local newspaper office or your library, if they have the newspapers on microfilm, is the place to start, because that's a wealth of information. I spent many hours at the Abilene Reporter-News in their files, going through clippings about these women and taking notes about that.
And the general public can use these files too.
Oh yes, they're open. Just contact your local newspaper or your library and let them know what you're doing. And yes, they're public files. Of course, there are a lot of other places to get information too, but that's a good starting point, just to get some basic information about the people that you're writing about. And from there, one thing leads to another. You start reading newspaper clippings, and there'll be a lot of other sources you'll immediately see in those stories, the places you want to go, people to interview, other places to go look for information through records at the courthouse or city hall. There are just any number of places. Then you find people to interview. Now, when I started this project, as I said, I decided to focus on 9 women, including the women who were elected the officers of this chapter in Abilene in 1957, and then some other women who were there for the organizational meeting. And I recognized almost all the names of the 9. When I started this, I started in September 2011 working on this, and I narrowed it down to those 9 women. At the time, 4 of them were living, 5 were deceased. The 4 that were living all lived in Abilene still. Of the other 5, I interviewed relatives, and they were all in Abilene. So I only had to find one, the husband of one of the women who was deceased. He lives in Washington State, and it was easy enough to find him. And so I located all these people, and we had one meeting at the home of one of these ladies. For the women in Abilene, all of them who could came to the meeting, and I talked about what I wanted to do and told them about it, and got some information there, and then set up individual interviews with all of them. So over a period of, I just got this just came out about a month or so ago, so it took me 2 years, but I did
but your writing part was probably only about a year and a half.
Well, the writing for this was not that long because each chapter is an individual story, so it's easier to write than one sustained narrative. Like the one biography I did on Virginia Conley was one. It was individual stories, but it was about one person and one narrative. Writing this type book, the writing is not as involved because each chapter is about one person. Yeah. But I did spend a lot of time doing the research in the interviews. I had interviews, individual meetings with each woman or a relative that I interviewed for the story.
And then you began to formulate it in your mind and knew how you were going to set it up. And then after the break, I want us to come back and talk about then actually the editing part and the publishing part. So we'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.